The year was 2157, and Earth had enjoyed decades of unity and peace. Nations that once fought each other now worked together, building small colonies on Mars and mining stations around Jupiter. Despite this progress, humans had only explored a tiny part of the galaxy. That changed on a warm June morning when strange lights appeared in the sky above New York, Tokyo, and Cairo. Massive ships, elegant and curved like giant silver shells, descended slowly through the clouds. People gathered in streets, some afraid, others excited, as the world watched the first confirmed alien contact in human history. The ships belonged to the Galactic Council, an alliance of 27 species that governed most of the known galaxy. From the largest vessel emerged the alien representatives, the Ardari with their blue skin and 4 arms, and the insectoid Vexful, whose chittering voices were translated through small floating devices. "We come in friendship," announced the Ardari leader, Shenza, as cameras broadcast the historic moment worldwide. "Your species has achieved the harmony required for council consideration. We offer knowledge, protection, and a place among the stars." Lisa Miller, one of Earth's top diplomats, led the welcome committee. Her 12-year-old son, Kevin, stood beside her, eyes wide with wonder. Unlike the adults who maintained professional composure, Kevin couldn't hide his amazement at the aliens. "Mom, they have 4 arms," he whispered excitedly, tugging at her sleeve. "And did you see their ships? How do they even work?" Lisa smiled at her son's enthusiasm, but gently reminded him to be respectful. "This is an important day for all of us, Kevin. Please remember your manners." The next weeks brought a whirlwind of meetings and demonstrations. The council representatives showed off technology centuries beyond human capability. Medical devices that could cure cancer in minutes, energy systems that drew power from dimensions humans hadn't even discovered, and materials stronger than anything made on Earth. While most of Earth's leaders eagerly pursued council membership, some voices urged caution. Admiral Frank Donovan, commander of Earth's modest space fleet, questioned the aliens' motives during a closed-door meeting. "They're offering us the universe on a silver platter," he said, frowning at the council's proposal document. "Nobody gives away this much without expecting something in return." But his concerns were dismissed as paranoia. The potential benefits seemed too great to ignore. Plans were made for Earth to begin the membership process, which would take several years of preparation and proving Earth's worthiness. During this time, Kevin Miller became a familiar face at the diplomatic compound. The boy's curiosity and quick mind made him popular even among the aliens. One Ardari in particular, a young diplomat named Zuriel, seemed to enjoy the boy's company. "Your offspring asks more interesting questions than your scientists," Zuriel told Lisa after Kevin had bombarded the alien with questions about star travel. Unlike the other Ardari, Zuriel spoke freely about council technology and history. He even let Kevin handle some of the simpler devices, teaching him how they worked. "This is a learning tool for our younglings," Zuriel explained one day, showing Kevin a small crystal sphere that projected detailed holograms of distant worlds. "It contains basic information about council members and territories." What neither Lisa nor the other human diplomats knew was that Zuriel had personal doubts about the council's true motives. The young Ardari had secretly given Kevin access to devices containing more than just basic information, devices that could access deeper council archives. As preparations continued for a major ceremony aboard the council flagship, where Earth would formally begin the membership process, Kevin practiced using the alien technology in secret. He had no idea that his innocent curiosity would soon uncover secrets that would change the fate of both humanity and the Galactic Council forever. The day of the ceremony arrived with great excitement. The council flagship, a massive vessel called the Harmonious Unity, hovered above the Atlantic Ocean. It was 20 times larger than Earth's biggest aircraft carrier. Hundreds of Earth's most important people were invited aboard. World leaders, scientists, and key diplomats, including Lisa Miller. "Can I really come too?" Kevin asked that morning, barely able to contain his excitement as he adjusted his formal suit. Lisa smiled and straightened his tie. Yes, but remember what we talked about. Best behavior. No wandering off. This is the most important diplomatic event in human history. Kevin nodded seriously, but his fingers touched the small alien device Zuriel had given him, hidden in his pocket. He planned to return it after studying it one last time. The inside of the flagship was breathtaking. Ceilings stretched hundreds of feet high, with light that seemed to come from nowhere. The walls shifted colors gently, and gravity changed subtly as they moved through different sections. To Kevin, it was like walking through a dream. During the formal reception, speeches were made by both human and alien representatives. Kevin, bored by the adults talking, noticed Zuriel motioning to him from a side corridor. He glanced at his mother, who was deep in conversation with the Ardari leader, then slipped away to meet his alien friend. "I have something important to tell you," Zuriel said, his forearms moving nervously. He stopped suddenly, his large eyes widening at something over Kevin's shoulder. "I must go. Be careful with that device." Then he hurried away. Confused, Kevin found a quiet corner near a window showing the Earth below. He took out the crystal device and activated it the way Zuriel had taught him. Usually, it showed star maps or information about alien cultures. But this time, when his fingers slid across it in a certain pattern by accident, something different happened. The device projected information Kevin had never seen before. Unlike the beautiful presentations he'd seen earlier, these were raw data files, what looked like military reports and secret communications. Though the language was strange, the translation function helped him understand parts of it. What he read made his blood run cold. These weren't reports about peaceful contact with new species. They were plans for systematic exploitation. Species after species, the Council had followed the same pattern: friendly contact, technological gifts, then gradually taking control of resources, placing their own officials in power, and eventually reducing the new member worlds to glorify colonies. Earth was next on their list. Kevin's hand shook. He needed to show this to his mother right away. He turned to find her, but suddenly alarms blared throughout the ship. Red lights flashed. The device in his hands was emitting a signal, some kind of security alert. 4 Vexthal security guards surrounded him, their insect-like mandibles clicking rapidly. Behind them came the Ardari High Counselor Shenza, his blue face darkened with anger. "How did a human child access these files?" Shenza demanded. "This is a serious security breach." Kevin backed against the wall. I just wanted to learn." "He knows too much," one of the Vexthal said. "The human child has seen our true protocols for Earth integration." Shenza's eyes narrowed. "This threatens centuries of careful planning. If humans learn our true purpose before we've established proper control measures..." "Mom," Kevin shouted, trying to push through the guards. "Mom, they're lying to us. They're going to..." One of the Vexthal raised a weapon. There was a flash of blue light. Kevin felt a burning sensation throughout his body, then nothing at all as he collapsed to the floor. At that exact moment, Lisa Miller pushed through the crowd, responding to her son's cry. What she saw would forever be burned into her memory. Her son's body crumpling to the ground, surrounded by council guards. "Kevin," she screamed, lunging forward only to be restrained by Ardari guards. Shenza turned to her, his face now composed into a mask of regret. "A terrible accident," he said smoothly. "The boy accessed dangerous technology. A security system activated automatically. We are deeply sorry for your loss." But Lisa had seen enough to know it was no accident. She had seen the weapon, the deliberate action. As she fell to her knees beside her son's lifeless body, the seeds of Earth's vengeance were already taking root. News of Kevin Miller's death spread across Earth like wildfire. Despite the Council's attempts to control the narrative, Lisa's raw testimony and the accounts of other witnesses told the truth. A human child had been deliberately killed by Council security. Millions watched the footage of Lisa Miller, her face still streaked with tears, addressing the United Earth Congress 3 days after the incident. "They murdered my son," she said, her voice cracking but determined. "He discovered something they didn't want us to know, and they killed him for it. The Galactic Council is not our friend. They have done this before to other worlds, and they plan to do it to us." The Council quickly offered apologies, compensation, and promises of justice. They called it a tragic misunderstanding by overzealous security personnel. They increased their offers of technology and aid, suddenly willing to share advancements they had previously withheld. But the damage was done. People across Earth took to the streets in protest. Images of Kevin Miller appeared everywhere, on buildings, in virtual memorials, and as profile pictures on social networks. The boy became a symbol of humanity's innocence betrayed by alien deceit. Earth's president, Alan Rodriguez, found himself in a difficult position. Open conflict with the technologically superior council seemed suicidal, yet the people demanded a response. In public, he called for calm and diplomacy. In private, he convened emergency meetings with Earth's military leadership. "What options do we realistically have?" he asked Admiral Frank Donovan in the heavily secured war room beneath the Midwest Capitol. Donovan, who had always been suspicious of the council, placed his hands flat on the table. "Mr. President, our conventional forces are no match for council technology, but there may be another option." He looked meaningfully at an elderly woman sitting quietly at the far end of the table. Most people in the room didn't recognize her, but a few older military officials seemed surprised by her presence. "This is Grace Howard," Donovan said. Until today, her existence was classified at the highest level. The woman nodded slightly. Though well into her 80s, her eyes were sharp and clear. "Mr. President, I represent an organization that has existed in secret for nearly 2 centuries. We were created during the Cold War era, when humanity first began to consider the possibility of alien contact." President Rodriguez leaned forward. "What organization?" "Project Lazarus," she answered simply. "An international consortium created to ensure humanity's survival in case of hostile alien encounter. While the world's powers fought each other publicly, privately they cooperated on this contingency." A stunned silence fell over the room. Howard continued, "We have a fleet, Mr. President. Ships built in secret and continuously upgraded. Many were constructed beneath the Antarctic ice or on the far side of the moon. For generations, we have reverse-engineered technology from crashed alien vessels, vessels the public never knew about." Lisa Miller, who had been invited to the meeting as the voice of the victims, spoke up. "Are you saying we've had advanced ships all this time? Why weren't they used to help our colonies on Mars or the mining operations?" Howard turned to her with sympathy in her eyes. "Because revealing their existence would have exposed us to the very threat they were built to counter. We needed the element of surprise." Admiral Donovan stood up. "The Council believes our most advanced ships are the Jupiter-class cruisers. They think we're centuries behind them technologically. What they don't know is that we have vessels that can match or exceed their capabilities." President Rodriguez shook his head in disbelief. "How is this possible? How could something this massive remain secret?" "Compartmentalization," Howard answered. "No single person knew everything. Funding was hidden in plain sight within defense budgets worldwide. The crews have trained in isolation, many having lived their entire lives within the program. And now," Admiral Donovan said, "we're asking for authorization to activate the fleet. We can no longer trust the Council. They've shown their true nature." Lisa Miller stood up, her grief momentarily overshadowed by determination. "My son died because he learned their secrets. We can't let that be for nothing." The president looked around the room, the weight of the decision heavy on his shoulders. "How long until this fleet can be ready?" Admiral Donovan's answer was immediate. "They've been ready for 100 years, sir. They're just waiting for the order." 3 days after the emergency meeting, Lisa Miller found herself on a shuttle diving deep beneath the Antarctic ice. Beside her sat Admiral Donovan, and 2 high-ranking military officials. No one spoke as they descended through a hidden entrance that opened like a massive mouth in the ice sheet. When the shuttle finally stopped, Lisa gasped. They had entered an enormous underground cavern, so vast that it had its own weather systems with thin clouds near the distant ceiling. But what truly took her breath away were the ships. Row after row of massive vessels stretched before her. Unlike the sleek, curved ships of the Galactic Council, these were angular and imposing. Their dark metal hulls absorbed light rather than reflecting it. Some were shaped like arrowheads, others like hammerheads. All bore the simple emblem of Earth, but no nation's flag. "Welcome to Lazarus Base Alpha," Admiral Donovan said as they stepped off the shuttle. "This is one of 3 major shipyards. The others are on the far side of the moon and beneath the Pacific Ocean." A tall woman in a crisp uniform approached them. "Admiral Donovan, Mrs. Miller, I'm Captain Allison Webb. I'll be commanding the dreadnought Vengeance." Lisa looked up at the nearest ship. It was at least a mile long, bristling with what she assumed were weapon systems unlike anything in Earth's public arsenal. "How is this possible?" she asked. "How could ships this size be built without anyone knowing?" Grace Howard appeared beside them, moving with surprising agility for her age. The project began in 1967, after a scout ship crashed in Russia. The Americans and Soviets were the first to cooperate in secret, despite their public Cold War. Over time, other nations joined. Each suspected we weren't alone in the universe, and each feared what that might mean. They walked along a catwalk that gave them views of the bustling activity below. Thousands of people were preparing the ships, loading supplies, running checks on systems. "Who are all these people?" Lisa asked. "Generations of families who have lived their entire lives in service to Project Lazarus," Howard explained. "Children born here are given the choice at 18, join the project or have their memories altered and be placed in normal society. Most stay." Admiral Donovan added, "Every crashed alien craft throughout history was brought here. We reverse-engineered their technology, combined it with human innovation. These ships have capabilities the Council can't imagine." Lisa watched a group of engineers working on what looked like a massive gun turret. "Are these weapons?" "And more," Captain Webb said. "Shields that can withstand direct hits from Council weapons, stealth systems that make our ships virtually undetectable, engines that can match or exceed Council speed, and a few surprises they won't expect." They entered a vast control room where officers monitored screens showing the Council ships still orbiting Earth. In the week since Kevin's death, Earth had announced a temporary withdrawal from membership negotiations, citing the need to mourn. The Council had accepted this, not realizing it was merely buying time. "The Council believes we're technologically primitive," Donovan said. "They think our best weapons are nuclear missiles, and our best ships are barely able to reach Mars. They have no idea what's coming." Grace Howard nodded to a young officer who brought up a holographic display of the solar system. "We've been tracking Council movements for decades. Their main fleet is scattered across 4 sectors. They maintain only a small presence here because they don't consider us a threat." Lisa stared at the display, then at the massive ships being prepared for battle. "When do we strike?" "First, we need you," Admiral Donovan said, turning to face her directly. "You've become the face of humanity's grief and outrage. We need you to be our voice, to explain to the galaxy why we've hidden our true strength and why we're using it now." Lisa thought of Kevin, his bright eyes, and endless curiosity. She thought of how the Council guards had cut him down without hesitation. Her eyes hardened. "When do we start?" she asked. "Now," Grace Howard said, pressing a button on a nearby console. "Project Lazarus is officially activated." Throughout the cavern, alarms began to sound. Lights shifted to battle-ready blue. On every ship, crews moved with practiced precision. Earth's secret fleet was awakening, and the Galactic Council had no idea what was coming for them. On the Council homeworld of Ardaris, the Supreme Council gathered in their grand chamber. 27 representatives from different species sat in rising tiers around a central platform. High Counselor Shenza stood at the center, addressing the assembly. "The humans have withdrawn from negotiations temporarily," he said. "They claim to need time to mourn the child. We have offered compensation and technology as gestures of goodwill. They will return to us soon enough." A Vexthal representative clicked his mandibles. "Perhaps we should establish a permanent presence in their system now, to ensure they don't have second thoughts." Shenza nodded. "A wise precaution. We will send 3 ships as a protective force. Once stationed, they can begin the subtle work of influencing Earth's governments." Only one voice raised in opposition, a slender, gray-skinned scientist named Razik from the Neferi species. The Neferi had been one of the first races absorbed by the Council centuries ago. "Our sensors have detected unusual energy signatures from Earth's moon and polar regions," Razik said, his large eyes blinking nervously. "I believe we should investigate before." "Your concerns are noted, Scientist Razik," Shenza interrupted. "But humans are primitive. They've barely established a presence on their neighboring planet. Their technology is centuries behind ours." "Enough," Shenza cut him off again. "The Council has more pressing matters. The Keldar system has resources we need, and their species shows promise for integration." Razik fell silent, but his unease remained. As the Council moved on to other matters, he slipped away to his laboratory. There, he studied the readings again. Something was happening on Earth, something the Council. Meanwhile, in Earth's orbit, the 3 Council ships that had remained after the incident prepared to be joined by the protective force Shenza had ordered. The commander of these ships, an Ardari named Velator, had been monitoring Earth's communications. All seemed normal. News reports about weather, sports, entertainment. The planetary defense grid remained at standard levels. "Commander," one of his officers called out, "we're detecting a small vessel leaving Earth's atmosphere. It appears to be one of their primitive shuttles." Velator waved dismissively. "Let it pass. Their shuttles travel to their moon regularly." What Velator didn't know was that this shuttle carried Lisa Miller. As she approached the Council ships, she opened a communication channel. "Attention Council vessels. This is Lisa Miller of Earth. I request to speak with your commander regarding my son, Kevin Miller." Velator was surprised but saw an opportunity. Perhaps this human mother had come to accept their explanation and compensation. It would make the transition smoother. "Permission granted," he replied. "Docket Bay 3. As Lisa's shuttle approached the Council ship, sensors across the Ardari vessel suddenly blared warnings. Multiple objects emerging from behind Earth's moon. An officer shouted, more appearing from beneath the planet's oceans and ice caps. Velator rushed to the viewing screen. What he saw made his 4 arms tremble. Massive warships, dozens of them, were appearing from hidden locations across the Earth system. They were unlike any human vessels he had seen before, dark, angular, and bristling with weapons systems that his scanners couldn't even identify. "Impossible," he whispered. "These can't be human ships." "Sir, the human shuttle, it's not slowing down." Lisa's shuttle suddenly accelerated toward the Council ship, but instead of crashing, it split open, revealing a small but powerful device. Before the Council ship could react, the device emitted a pulse that shut down their systems completely. Simultaneously, across the solar system, Earth's hidden fleet moved with precision that spoke of long preparation. Small, fast attack craft disabled the incoming Council protective force before they could even send warnings. Larger vessels surrounded the 3 original Council ships. On his flagship, Admiral Donovan watched the operation unfold exactly as planned. All Council vessels contained, his tactical officer reported. No transmissions escaped. As far as the Galactic Council knows, everything is proceeding normally. Donovan nodded. "And Mrs. Miller? Retrieved safely after deploying the EMP device. She's on her way back now." "Good," Donovan said. "Phase 1 complete. Now we move to Phase 2. Prepare the fleet for immediate departure to the Council outpost in the Proxima system. The officer looked uncertain. Sir, we're really doing this. Taking the fight to the entire Galactic Council. Donovan's face was grim but determined. They killed a child for discovering their lies. How many other species have suffered under their rule? Yes, we're doing this. Today, Earth shows the galaxy that humanity will not be another conquered world. The Proxima outpost was the closest major council facility to Earth. It served as a regional headquarters, overseeing dozens of systems. The station was massive, a spinning ring around a central hub, home to over 50,000 council officials and their families. No one at Proxima was concerned when communication with the Earth ships became briefly interrupted. Such things happened occasionally with developing worlds. They expected to hear from Commander Velter soon enough. Instead, they got something entirely different. The station's sensors detected ships emerging from faster-than-light travel. At first, they assumed these were the expected reinforcements from the Council fleet. Then the alarms began to sound. "Unknown vessels," shouted the Vexthal officer on duty. "Design does not match any Council or known species configurations." Station Commander Garvel rushed to the control center. "Show me," he demanded. The screen displayed 5 large warships approaching in perfect formation. They were unlike anything he had seen before, angular, dark, and somehow threatening even in their silence. "Are they responding to hails?" he asked. "No, Commander. We've tried all frequencies." Garvel's training took over. Raise shields. Arm weapons. Alert all personnel to battle stations. Just as the station's defenses powered up, a communication request came through. "This is Admiral Frank Donovan of Earth," came the transmission. "Your station is now surrounded. Lower your shields and prepare to be boarded." Garvel was shocked. "Earth? Impossible. Humans don't have this technology." "I repeat," Donovan continued, "lower your shields. We have no desire to harm civilians, but we will take this station." Garvel laughed. "Your bluff is noted, human. But even if those ships are somehow yours, they are no match for this station's defenses." The transmission ended. Garvel turned to his weapons officer. "Target their lid ship and fire a warning shot." The station's main cannon fired a blast of energy that should have scared off any reasonable attacker. Instead, the human ship simply absorbed the blast, with a shield that glowed briefly, then returned to transparency. Before Garvel could process what he'd seen, the human ships opened fire. Their weapons sliced through the station's shields like they weren't even there. Precision strikes disabled the... "How is this possible?" Garvel whispered as his command console sparked and went dark. Within minutes, human troops were boarding the station. They moved with practiced efficiency, securing key areas. Unlike the Council forces who killed Kevin Miller, the humans took care to avoid civilian casualties. Leading one of the boarding teams was Lisa Miller herself. She had insisted on being part of the operation. Wearing powered armor developed from alien technology, she moved alongside soldiers who had trained their entire lives for this moment. They reached the station's communication center, their primary target. The Council officers surrendered quickly, stunned by the sudden appearance of a human military force they had believed impossible. Lisa approached the main broadcast terminal. This was the moment they had planned for, the reason she had come. With a nod from the technical team, she began speaking. Her words would be translated and broadcast to every Council world and outpost. "My name is Lisa Miller of Earth. 1 week ago, my 12-year-old son Kevin was murdered by Galactic Council forces for discovering the truth about your organization. For centuries, you have presented yourselves as benevolent guides to developing worlds, while secretly planning to exploit and control them." Her voice remained steady despite her emotion. "We now possess evidence of your systematic subjugation of dozens of species, proof that the Council is not a cooperative of equals, but an empire that preys on developing worlds." She held up a data crystal, a copy of the information Kevin had found, now supplemented with data taken from the disabled Council ships. "Today, Earth reveals its true strength. The ships you now face have existed in secret for generations, built to protect humanity from threats exactly like yours. But we do not fight only for ourselves. Lisa's eyes hardened. We fight for every species you have deceived and exploited. We fight for every world where you have installed puppet governments. We fight in memory of my son, whose only crime was learning the truth. Throughout the Council territories, on thousands of worlds, people of many species watched in stunned silence as Lisa continued. To all subjugated peoples, the time for freedom has come. Earth stands with you. The Galactic Council's reign of deception ends today. As she spoke, more human ships emerged from hyperspace near other Council outposts. Earth's hidden fleet had been unleashed, and the Galactic Council was facing an enemy they never knew existed. Lisa Miller's broadcast spread across Council space like wildfire. On dozens of worlds, species that had long suffered under Council rule saw hope for the first time in generations. Some rose up immediately, overwhelming local Council forces. Others waited, watching to see if the humans could truly challenge the mighty Council. On the Galactic Council homeworld, chaos erupted. The Supreme Council convened an emergency session, with High Counselor Shenza trying desperately to maintain order. "How is this possible?" demanded the Vexthal representative. "Humans are a primitive species. Clearly, our intelligence was flawed," Shenza admitted. "But we must not panic. Our main fleet still outnumbers these human ships." In the back of the chamber, scientist Razik watched silently. He had warned them, but they wouldn't listen. Now he had a decision to make. Meanwhile, Earth's fleet pushed deeper into Council space. Admiral Donovan directed operations from his flagship, the Retribution. Captain Allison Webb commanded a battle group that targeted Council military installations. Their strategy was precise: disable rather than destroy, offer surrender before opening fire, and avoid civilian casualties whenever possible. They weren't fighting like vengeful barbarians. They were fighting like a people who understood the heavy responsibility of superior firepower. 5 more Council cruisers approaching. "Admiral," reported his tactical officer. Donovan nodded. "Disable their engines and weapon systems. Offer the usual terms." The officer hesitated. "Sir, our intelligence suggests these ships are carrying the Council's elite troops. They likely won't surrender." "Offer anyway," Donovan insisted. "We maintain the moral high ground." After a brief engagement, 3 of the Council ships surrendered. The other 2 fought until their systems were completely disabled. Earth was winning battles across Council space, but Donovan knew the real test was yet to come. The main Council fleet was gathering at Arcturus, over 10 times the size of Earth's forces. Donovan had expected this. It was part of the plan. On a secure channel, he spoke with Lisa Miller, who had returned to the Retribution after her broadcast. "It's time for the next phase," he told her. "Are you sure you want to do this?" Lisa thought of Kevin, of his bright smile and curious mind. "Yes, those responsible need to face justice." Donovan nodded. "We've received a transmission you should see. It's from someone inside the Council leadership." The screen showed scientist Razik, the Neferi who had tried to warn the Council about Earth. "Humans," he said, his large eyes blinking rapidly. "I represent many within Council space who have long opposed the leadership's methods. The Neferi were among the first species subjugated by the Council centuries ago. We and others will help you, but you must understand. The Council is planning something desperate." Lisa leaned forward. "What do you mean?" "They've recalled their entire fleet to Arcturus, but a separate force is being sent directly to Earth. They believe if they threaten your homeworld, you will withdraw to defend it." Admiral Donovan's face hardened. "How large a force?" "Nearly a third of their fleet. It launches within hours." After the transmission ended, Donovan turned to his officers. "Send word to Earth Defense Command. Prepare for incoming hostiles." He looked at the tactical display. "And set course for Arcturus. We continue as planned." Lisa was shocked. "But Earth will be defended," Donovan assured her. We anticipated this move. There's a reason we kept half our fleet in reserve. The journey to Ardaris would take 2 days at maximum speed. As Earth's fleet moved deeper into enemy territory, news arrived of uprisings across Council space. Species that had been controlled for centuries were fighting back, inspired by Earth's example. On the ship's observation deck, Lisa stood alone, watching the stars streak by. A young officer approached with a message. Mrs. Miller, we've received reports from Earth. The Council attack force has arrived in our solar system. Lisa's heart raced, and the officer smiled. They've engaged our home defense fleet. The battle has begun. Back on Earth, hidden ships rose from ocean depths and emerged from underground bases. The second half of humanity's secret fleet revealed itself, ready to defend their homeworld in what would become the largest space battle in galactic history. The battle for Earth lasted 17 hours. Council ships, expecting an easy victory over a primitive world, instead found themselves facing an enemy that had prepared for this moment for generations. Earth's defense fleet, commanded by Vice Admiral Susan Clark, fought with the advantage of home territory and hidden weapon platforms throughout the solar system. By the time Admiral Donovan's fleet reached Ardaris, news of the Council's defeat at Earth had spread across the galaxy. The Council fleet above their homeworld was in disarray. Some ships had already deserted, their captains and crews joining the growing rebellion. We've arrived at Ardaris, Captain Allison Webb reported. Council fleet is in defensive formation around the planet. Admiral Donovan studied the tactical display. Open a channel to their command. The screen flickered to show High Counselor Shenza, his blue face tense with anger and fear. This ends now, Donovan said simply. Your attack on Earth has failed. Your outposts are falling. The people you've oppressed for centuries are rising up. Surrender. Shenza's 4 arms gestured in agitation. You cannot defeat the entire Council. We have ruled the galaxy for millennia. Your rule was based on lies and fear, Lisa Miller said, stepping into view. My son discovered your true nature, and you killed him for it. How many others have died to protect your secrets? A new figure pushed Shenza aside. It was Razik, accompanied by representatives of several species. The Supreme Council has been removed from power, he announced. I speak for the Transitional Authority. We wish to negotiate peace. What followed was not the annihilation of Ardaris, but something more profound, the beginning of a new galactic order. Earth ships landed, not as conquerors, but as liberators. Representatives from formerly oppressed species gathered to build something better than what had existed before. 1 month later, Lisa Miller stood in a new chamber built where the old Council had once ruled. Behind her was a simple memorial, a hologram of Kevin, smiling the way she remembered him best. Around her were delegates from over 50 worlds, including Zuriel, the young Ardari who had befriended Kevin and who had secretly aided Earth's forces. We gather today to sign the Kevin Miller Accord, Lisa said, her voice carrying across the chamber. Named for a boy whose innocent quest for knowledge exposed centuries of injustice, this agreement establishes the new Galactic Alliance. Unlike the old Council, this alliance will be based on true cooperation and respect. One by one, representatives came forward to sign. Humans, Neferi, Ardari, Vexthal, and dozens of others. Even former Council races joined, having removed their corrupt leadership. After the ceremony, Admiral Donovan approached Lisa. Earth's fleet will remain as the Alliance peacekeeping force, he said, but with transparency this time. No more secrets. Lisa nodded, looking at Kevin's hologram. Do you think he would be proud of what we've accomplished? He changed the galaxy, Donovan replied. I think he would be amazed. Later that day, Lisa walked alone in the gardens outside the new Alliance headquarters. She found Zuriel waiting for her. I am sorry I could not save him, the young Ardari said, all 4 arms clasped in a gesture of deep remorse. I tried to warn Kevin that day, but I was too late. Lisa placed a hand on his shoulder. You tried to help him, and in the end, you helped us bring justice. That matters. Zuriel looked up at the night sky. The old stories of my people speak of a time before the council, when different species worked together as equals. Perhaps those days can return. They already are, Lisa said, as ships from a dozen worlds moved peacefully through the stars above them. Back on Earth, at a small memorial garden built in Kevin's honor, children from many species planted trees that would grow for centuries. The garden contained a simple plaque that read, "Kevin Miller, whose courage and curiosity changed the course of galactic history." The stars looked different now to the people of Earth. They were no longer distant and mysterious, but filled with allies and friends. Humanity had revealed its strength, not just in the power of its hidden fleet, but in its determination to build a better future for all. The boy who had looked up at the stars with wonder had, in his own way, brought the galaxy together. It was not the future Kevin would have lived to see, but it was one he had helped create, a legacy that would endure among the stars for generations to come.